This happened a few years ago, but it still gives me the chills just thinking about it. So my daughter had this doll, a battery-operated one that would clap and sing this little tune every time it heard a loud clap. It also had a motion sensor, so if you walk past it, the thing would go off, singing and clapping like it was some over-enthusiastic cheerleader. The batteries died one day though, and I just tossed it up on a high shelf in the dining room, fully intending to replace them at some point, but never getting around to it. Life happens, you know. A few days went by, and nobody touched that thing. The shelf was way too high for my kids, who were 3 and 4 at the time, to even reach it. They did not know how to change the batteries, and even if they did, they couldn't get to it. So it sat there, collecting dust. Then, in the middle of the day, no one near it, the doll starts clapping and singing. It's just for a few seconds, but it's enough to make me pause. Weird, I think, but hey, maybe there's some residual battery life or something, so I ignore it. Then, at night, just as I'm drifting off, it goes off again, loud. The whole house echoes with its clapping in that obnoxious tune. My heart jumps, but I tell myself it's probably just a glitch. Dolls with dead batteries don't sing, I know, but I'm half asleep, and all I want to do is ignore it and get back to bed. The next day, I decide to test that thing out. I go into the dining room, clap my hands right in front of it. Nothing. I wave at it, shake it. Still nothing. It's as dead as it should be. I put it back on the shelf and head to my room, feeling a little weirded out, but chalking it up to the doll being old and maybe buggy. But the minute I'm out of the room, clap, 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 singing its heart out again. Okay, enough is enough. I take the doll, open the front door, and toss it into the outdoor trash bin. I want it gone. End of story. I sleep a little easier that night, thinking I won't have to hear that weird, glitching singing anymore. But the next morning, I walk into the living room and freeze. That damn doll is sitting right there on the couch. I'm staring at it, wondering if I somehow lost my mind and didn't actually throw it away. I know my kids couldn't have gotten it out of the trash bin. It's way too big and heavy for them to open. There's no one else who could have done it. I walk up to it, and as if on cue, it starts clapping and singing again, like it's taunting me. I freak out and ask my kids if they took the doll out of the trash, but they both look at me, wide-eyed, and say no. They wouldn't even know how to get it. That's when I'm done playing games with this thing. I grab the doll and head straight to the fireplace. I light it up, and without a second thought, toss the doll in. I watch as the flames consume it, the plastic twisting and melting. As it burns, my daughter suddenly brings up a pink teddy bear, hands it to me, and says, "He's not my friend anymore." Then she tosses it into the fire too. I watch, almost hypnotized, as thick, black smoke curls up the wall, filling the room with an acrid, suffocating smell. I have to open all the windows just to clear it out. The doll's gone, and the unfriendly pink teddy bear is gone too. But my daughter still talks about that doll sometimes, asking why I burned it. I told her the truth, because it was haunted. Sometimes, late at night, I still imagine I can hear that stupid song echoing somewhere through the walls. I know it's probably just my mind playing tricks on me, but I'll never let another one of those dolls into my house again. My friend and I were killing time on a weekend, wandering through this old antique shop on the edge of town. The place was dim, crowded, and had that faint musty smell that felt like the kind of thing you'd find trapped in your grandmother's attic. It was packed floor to ceiling with vintage furniture, weird old signs, ancient books, stuff no one really needs but might want it because it had history. Or at least that's what my friend thought. She was big on character, while I was just there to hang out. We turned a corner, and that's when we found ourselves in a small room, lined with shelves, every inch crammed with antique dolls. I'd always had a weird thing about dolls. They just never sat right with me. Something about the eyes. I could feel that familiar chill creeping up my spine, but I wasn't about to let my friend see that. I tried to brush it off, acting like I couldn't care less about these dusty little monsters staring out from their shelves. I kept my head high and moved through the room, pretending I was interested in the rest of the stuff around us, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Then I noticed it. Out of the corner of my eye, it looked like the eyes of one doll were following me. You know, the kind with that blank, porcelain face and little glass eyes that are supposed to blink. Yeah, one of those. I figured maybe it was just my mind playing tricks. Pressure changes, maybe. Old rooms can make weird things happen. I did not want to look too closely, but then my friend muttered under her breath, Did you see that? I swear, the eyes on that one just moved. I laughed it off, doing my best to sound confident. It's probably just the angle, or the type of doll with the eyes that move. You're getting creeped out over nothing. But she wasn't convinced, and honestly, neither was I. We kept walking, but every step seemed to echo in the silence of that room, and the feeling that we were being watched was almost palpable. The dolls, every single one of them, felt like they were all staring right at us. I was ready to call it quits and get out, but I did not want to be the one to say it. Then my friend let out a yelp, stopping me cold. She pointed to a spot on one of the shelves. They were right there, she said. Those two dolls in the little blue dresses. They were right there. I looked over and, sure enough, there was an empty space on the shelf. And I swear, just moments ago, two dolls had been sitting there, staring blankly like all the others. And I couldn't explain it. They didn't just fall. They weren't on the floor. They were gone. I took a deep breath, ready to calm her down, telling her she was overreacting. Then I turned toward the entrance, and my heart nearly stopped. There they were. The two dolls that had disappeared were now positioned right at the door, sitting perfectly upright, both facing us. They looked like they'd been waiting. My friend's face went pale, and she whispered, "No, this is wrong." That was it. Every rational thought left my head, and all I could think about was getting out. "Nope," I muttered, more to myself than her. I stepped forward, hopping over the dolls, half expecting them to grab my ankle. My friend hesitated for a split second, then followed suit, practically launching herself past the door. We ran, skidding through the maze of furniture, old clocks, dusty portraits, not caring if anyone heard or saw us. The air felt heavier with each step, like the place was trying to hold us back, as ridiculous as that sounds. We did not stop running until we burst out into the parking lot, lungs burning, hearts pounding. I half expected to see one of those dolls standing in the doorway, but the entrance stayed empty. We didn't speak, didn't even look at each other until we were in the car, doors locked, engine running. My friend looked over at me, and I could tell she was waiting for me to say something, but I had nothing. All I could think was, we are never going back there, and we haven't. So, my aunt went to Russia a few years back and, being the thoughtful person she is, decided to bring me a gift. Only it wasn't anything I would have chosen for myself. She handed me this porcelain doll that looked exactly like me, down to my eye color and even the shape of my nose. She swore up and down it wasn't custom made. She just spotted it in some random marketplace and thought it was too eerie to pass up. Now, for context, I never liked dolls. I grew up with Transformers, Legos, and Hot Wheels, not creepy porcelain faces staring back at me from shelves. But I couldn't just chuck it aside. My aunt had gone out of her way to bring it back from halfway around the world, so I decided to keep it on a shelf in my room. I figured it just gathered dust and I'd forget about it eventually. Then, weird things started happening. At first, I tried to brush it off. The doll would be in a different position than how I left it. I thought maybe I misremembered, you know. but soon it was impossible to ignore. This thing had a habit of moving entirely on its own. I'd leave it with its arms by its sides, and the next time I looked, its arms were stretched out, reaching toward the edge of the shelf, fingers curled slightly like it was waiting for something or someone. One night, I woke up to this faint whispering sound. I was groggy, but as I came to, I realized the noise wasn't coming from outside or from the walls. It was coming from the shelf where the doll sat. I couldn't make out any words, just this low mumbling. Every muscle in my body froze. I lay there, heart hammering, until the whispering finally stopped. When I mustered the courage to look, I found the doll's head turned sharply towards me, eyes wide open and staring. I knew I had not left it like that. It did not stop there. I began having these nightmares, always with that doll in them. Sometimes it would strangle me, its porcelain hand surprisingly strong, pressing down on my throat. Other times it would appear in my dream, holding a knife, inching closer, and I'd feel this cold dread as it raised the blade. And sometimes it would smother me, shoving blankets over my face until I couldn't breathe. Without fail, I'd wake up in a panic, and the doll would be lying next to me in the bed, its head turned just enough to meet my eyes. The nightmares took a toll on me. I became sleep deprived, paranoid, and honestly, I was scared to tell anyone. My family already knew I did not like the doll, but they did not know the extent of it. I'd avoid looking at it during the day, but every night, it was the same routine of nightmares and waking up to find it way too close to me. After about 3 or 4 years, I couldn't take it anymore. I had read online about people getting rid of cursed objects, so I decided to try one last thing before throwing it out. I took a little bit of holy water from my mom's room. She's very religious and always keeps some in the house, and I splashed a bit of it on the doll, saying a quiet prayer under my breath. It felt stupid, like I was doing some kind of amateur exorcism, but I was desperate. Then, I tossed it in the garbage and put a lid down, hoping that would be the end of it. For a week, everything was normal. I slept soundly, no nightmares, no whispering. But last night, I heard a faint scratching at my bedroom door, almost like little tiny fingers scraping against the wood. Hey, what's up guys? It's Spooky. If you've made it this far, congratulations, you survived. If you did not know, I have an Instagram. Follow me on there so we can connect. I also have a Patreon. On there, you'll have direct access to me and can see the upcoming videos, polls, and soon-to-be exclusive stories only shared on there. If that's something that interests you, please consider joining. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Stay spooky, and I'll see you in the next video.